Remember Poppy King? 25 years ago, the then teenage cosmetics entrepreneur from Melbourne could do no wrong. She created a multi-million-dollar business and was named Young Australian of the Year. But when it all suddenly collapsed, the lipstick queen, once so loved, was now publicly loathed. Poppy King left Australia believing she'd never come back. She moved to New York, where she picked herself up and dusted herself off. Today, 45-year-old Poppy King is absolutely thriving. Oh, wow.
What do you think?
That is so you.
You think?
In places like this, Poppy King blossoms.
Are those earrings? Ah.
We're in a New York vintage store looking not for clothes, but for colours.
Wow. That's great, but I just love it as a lipstick texture.
And just a few weeks later, that shawl is in a Canadian cosmetics factory and has become the colour of Poppy's latest lipstick.
Oh my God, this is sensational.
Where did this fascination for lipstick come from?
When I put it on, I just felt more empowered, like kind of like a superhero, like kind of like capable of sort of taking on what was going on in my life, like kind of like I'm ready. I'm kind of like I'm ready for the world, I'm empowered, I'm connected to some inner strength.
For more than 2 decades, Poppy has lived for lipstick. Whether she's on her way to work, meeting magazine editors,
What are you talking about?
I love those photographs.
or launching a new product, she's always thinking about lipstick.
Oh, I love that. It's so kind of play school. Do you have play school in America? Yeah, I always forget.
Poppy's passion has made her a serious player in America's cutthroat beauty industry. But just like her products, marketing and image, the story of how she got here is far from conventional. Are you more resilient than you realised?
I'm tougher than I realised in terms of like I can take more knocks than I thought I could take. But but they come at a cost. It's not water off a duck's back.
Back in the 1990s, it had all looked so good for Poppy. A determined and quirky teenager from Melbourne making a mozza from her love of 1940s glamour.
When I was going around Myers and David Jones at 16 or 17 and looking for, feeling very awkward and looking for sort of like a matte lipstick or something that would work with my look rather than trying to fit myself into the mould that I was seeing in all the advertising there, I kind of had 2 choices. I could either accept that I didn't fit that standard.
In fact, I think you said you had a vintage face.
Yes, that's one way of putting it. I wanted to sort of be allowed to be beautiful in ways that weren't necessarily about my physicality, but about my spirit. And in some ways, I kind of went towards the bully. Like it was kind of like the bully in the school ground was the beauty industry.
Poppy believed, with a little lippy, everyone could be beautiful. And millions of women agreed. She quickly became a much celebrated young Australian entrepreneur and even Young Australian of the Year.
My story was of somebody that had no real sort of leg up or no real sort of obvious kind of pathway into doing this, and found a pathway.
But that's what we love.
Yeah.
Exactly. We liked The Battler.
The Battler, yeah.
Business boomed, turning over $6.5 million a year and attracting keen interest from America. What was it about Poppy King that Barney's thought was worth investing in?
Well, we'd never really had someone invest so much research and time and effort into lip color.
Daniela Vitale is the CEO of Barney's, New York's Madison Avenue department store that has embraced Poppy's products since 1993. Obviously, she was noticed early. What does it take to be noticed?
I think she really understood that there was a void in the marketplace for lips and lip color and a storytelling and some whimsy and cleverness to beauty, which beauty tends to be kind of very serious. And she saw that that was a void, particularly, I think, in America, and she really seized on that.
But it was not enough in Australia. A clash with her new investors saw the company go bust, along with Poppy's reputation.
The loss, that my partners incurred is something that, of course, I'm not proud of. That was not the result that I wanted for me or for them, because it meant that I was also, if they lost money, I lost money too. It wasn't a one and one loss. We both lost.
How much money did you lose?
I lost. I lost all the equity in my company.
That would have been worth millions?
It was worth millions, yeah.
It seems now we built you up and we took no time at all at bringing you down.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there was definitely an up and a down, and I participated in that. You can't just kind of say, oh, well, I only signed on for the good times.
For many, the company's demise came as a shock. The media reaction was strong, and at times Poppy's public execution was brutal.
I'd be walking around then past sort of front newspapers saying, Poppy King to go to jail.
Do you think that was ever a possibility?
I knew that I'd been trading under difficult circumstances, but I also sort of knew, and I realised, knew that I had never actually knowingly sort of incurred more debt, knowing I couldn't pay it. And I just had to believe that somehow that was going to win out.
There must have been a moment where you went, I actually have to leave.
I had these icy poles, these lemonade icy poles in the freezer in my apartment throughout that, that I was living in Australia. And during the time when things were really tough, I would often cry at night, to tell you the truth. And I used to put these lemonade icy poles, on my eyes to stop my eyes from swelling. So the next day, my eyes wouldn't be swollen when I got up and went into work and tried to sort this mess out the next day. So I'd have put these ice. The day that I threw those icy poles out, that kind of it was kind of like a day of realising, you know what, I've done my crying here. I've done I'm out. I'd rather go somewhere where I can just, let go of this.
I'd rather eat them.
Exactly.
This is your neighbourhood.
Yeah, well, it's not just mine. A few other people live here too.
After Poppy's spectacular fall from grace in Australia,
there was this one place that had Vegemite, and I'm sure that's why one Australian moved here, and then another one, and it just became this kind of little sort of Australian enclave.
She landed firmly on her high heels in New York, the place she now calls home.
Chrissy, was this supposed to be the sheer one, or was this supposed to be the opaque one?
After 8 years working with Estee Lauder, she launched a new venture, Lipstick Queen.
I walk past here all the time because I live around the corner, so, look in and say, oh, there it is. And it's just that thing of kind of wow, anything is possible.
It's the business that's put her back on centre stage in the beauty industry that gave up on her in Australia.
It's almost like a berry colour.
Poppy failing in Australia is not an impediment to success in America?
No. It's better for the story. The fact that this all happened at such a young age and, now she really is, a superstar.
At 45, Poppy King has lost none of her passion. She's intimately engaged in finding new markets, new customers. But her hope is that she can return home and that she can put her past behind her.
I would be really upset if Australia couldn't move on from that with me, but it takes me to lead that way. You know, I can't expect people to go out of their way to sort of like try and fill in the dots. Like I have to sort of like, you know,
rebuild the relationship.
Rebuild the relationship. It takes two to tango.
Will Australia see a different Poppy, do you think? How have you changed? You haven't changed
No,
at
I
all?
haven't changed at all. Sorry. Unfortunately, they're not going to see a different Poppy at all. You know, I wish, you know, when and if I do come back and whatever role I play in Australia in the future, and I'm exactly the same. I'm probably going to make a hell of a lot more mistakes.